CFL Legends brought to you by Corral. He holds scores of Toronto Argonaut rushing and receiving records. More on Dick Shadow in a moment.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
Dick Shadow played 12 seasons with the Toronto Argonauts between the years of 1954 and 1965. Upon his retirement in '65, Shadow scored more touchdowns, caught more passes, and accounted for more offensive yardage than any other player in the history of Canadian football. Many of his Boatman records still stand, including most career touchdowns and most career rushing yards. You can see more on Dick Shadow and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton.
Make sure you stay tuned to the Sports Network. We are your exclusive source for CFL football. Friday, July the 19th, 10:30 Eastern Time. The Montreal Alouettes are in BC to play the Lions. Both teams enter this game without a win so far. Now, speaking of teams that have won and have winners, Robert Drummond is just that for the Toronto Argonauts. So far, through the first 3 games of this season, he's put up some very, very impressive numbers.
Robert Drummond is probably, or was probably, the best kept secret in the Canadian Football League last year because Mike Pringle got all the carries down in Baltimore. But because we were there, we knew Robert's skills. He's a gifted runner. He's probably the fastest guy on our offense. And he's also a gifted pass receiver coming out of the backfield because in college he was a wide receiver for 2 years and then a tailback for the other 2. So he has all of the skills that we're looking for in a Canadian Football League back.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be receiving the ball as much as I am, but I mean, I'm a capable receiver, and that's just fine for me. As long as we win games, you know, that's all that counts, you know, because I mean, you could have 2,000 yards rushing, but if you don't go to a Grey Cup, it all doesn't really mean anything.
Drummond's role in the Argo offense has taken some of the focus away from veteran Mike Clemens, but with the early success, no one seems to mind.
Mike hasn't been used too much as a running back. He's been more of a receiver, but at any given moment, we can throw 2 guys in the backfield, line up, and hammer the football. And it's a plus that I never had out in Calgary, that we always had 5 receivers on the field, and a 6th guy was the running back. Here we have 4 receivers, 2 backs, and we can go back to some conventional stuff if we have to.
Doug likes to spread Mike Clements out, and Robert does a lot of the hard inside physical running, and then Mike Clements works in space where he's best. So I think we have the best of both worlds there.
It's been a lot of fun, and he's just a great player. And along with Doug Flutie, I mean, that's a nice little backfield there. And I'm getting used to being out flanked out and being in the routes and being a receiver more. I'm getting more and more comfortable with it each week, and hopefully I get better at it each week.
Boy, you can't really lose with either of those 2 guys in your backfield at all. Robert Drummond has been a factor in this football game. In the first half, he did score a touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts, and they're really utilizing him to the best of his abilities. Les?
When you have a running back that you can get 4 yards out of a crack, and it's better, like I said, than a hitch play, which I really hate.
That's Obilovich's favorite play.
It's sort of like Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has a good running back with Robert Mims, and he gets 4 or 5 yards a crack. And when you got Robert Drummond giving you 4 or 5 yards a crack, that second down call is a lot easier.
Yeah, but you know what? Sooner or later, defenses are going to key on Drummond.
That's 3 down. This is 3 down football. You got to get at least 6 yards on first down in our league.
No, if you got a quarterback like Doug Flutie.
No, and that's the truth. When it's 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 6, and you've got Doug Flutie in the pocket, look out. He's going to pick you apart. And you had talked about Mike Clements not getting enough playing time with the Toronto Argonauts, and perhaps his feathers are ruffled a little bit. We never saw the pinball at all, did we, in the first half?
He didn't touch the ball in the first half, and I think that's sad. As I say, sooner or later, defenses are going to key on Robert Drummond. I think you've got to take advantage of all the things pinball can do. Nobody knows better than Bob Obilovich how many good things Pinball Clemens can do.
Well,
Use the little guy. He's good.
Well, you might be missing something here. Maybe Toronto's trying to set somebody up. Like Hamilton, I think, is trying to set up Earl Winfield. They never used him at all last game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, if they go for the keying on the little guys, Earl's going to be wide open.
And
same thing with
and Earl's not very happy about that, is he? You're his close friend. Tell the truth here.
Well, we know that Earl's not happy. Everybody knows that.
You're missing one point, though, and Doug alluded to it there when he was talking, is that their offense is structured with the people that they have personnel-wise, because Drummond's such a good receiver and Michael's the player that he is. They can do whatever they want virtually, and then of course Doug carrying the ball. I mean, there's only one football to go around, so
you know what?
They're making the use of the people that they have.
And maybe they'll end up dealing pinball. Would that completely surprise any of you if they did trade pinball?
If you think there's a small crowd there tonight, if they deal pinball, I'm telling you, there'll be a boycott.
Nothing in the CFL surprises
That's one thing I might have to agree with Marty York.
That's a switch. No, he's a very popular player.
We have to take a break. You guys are scaring me over there. You guys agreeing. We'll take a short break. When we come back, there's still more to come at the Corral halftime.
This summer, TSN and Subway want you to put the bite on us to win. Win one of 6 weekly baseball or football prize packs, and all correct entries will qualify to win a grand prize trip to 2 World Series games or a trip to this year's Grey Cup game. Get an entry at participating Subway stores, then tune in and look for the Subway Bite during TSN baseball and CFL broadcasts, and mail in each week for a chance to win.
Red, white, and brewed in Canada. It's where we brew this bud for you.
Min and Speed Stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of pickup. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. By Menon.
Welcome back to the studio. At the half, the Toronto Argonauts with a comfortable 17-4 lead. For their thoughts on that first half, here are John and Leif.
Darren, we'll look at the stats in just a moment, but when you look at what happened to the Ottawa Rough Riders, there are just too many drop passes from David Archer.
Well, there certainly was. I mean, here's Archer, 11 of 21 in that half. He could have easily been 15 or 16 out of 21, and then instead of 17-4, maybe it's 17-all or closer.
Well, at least a couple of field goal opportunities for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Let's take a look at the stats now, brought to you by Subway. As you look at the net yards, 169 for the Argonauts, 152 for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Time of possession, 13:55 compared to 16:05. Ottawa could have been a little bit closer. I don't know that they deserve to be completely, but they could have been closer.
Well, I think the message for Ottawa is clear. I mean, if you don't make mistakes and you have some productivity out of your people, you got a chance to compete in this game. If they don't and Toronto starts to wind it up, Toronto's kind of went back into second gear in that second quarter. Toronto winds it up, they can win this game easily. It's still a toss-up. 18 points,
Yeah, it's not all that much to overcome for David Archer and the Ottawa Rough Riders if the receivers hang on to a couple of balls in the second half.
The definition of a mother, your mom. The definition of one tough mother, every CFL player. When it comes to football, there's only one way to play it. The right way. Our way. Radically Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's our game. It's longer, wider, faster, and more exciting. Every game is an event, a party. Canadian football has been a tradition for over 105 years, and it's still kicking. The CFL. Now you too can be a radical Canadian by wearing radical hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and golf shirts, all from Starter Canada. Get radical from only $19.99. Call 1-800-545-5757. These items are not available in any store. The only way you can get radical is to call now. Dare to be different. Get radical. Be Canadian. The Canadian Football League, it's radically Canadian. Call 1-800-545-5757 now.
Captured live in the opening half, the Argos' Tim Cofield. to Archer there. Schofield coming into the game with a couple of sacks. He adds one more in the opening half against the Ottawa Roughriders. One of the key guys in Don Matthews' defense. They were really excited to get his name on a contract and bring him to Toronto this year.
Better get those pants done up. He's going to have to do a lot of pass rushing here in the second half and try and get to this guy. Boy, you have to feel sorry for Archer. I mean, he didn't have a bad first half. Here's how they match up. And, you know, as I said on camera a few minutes ago, had his receivers hung onto the ball, he would have had a very impressive first half. Doug Flutie, great start, as we've come to know from him this year, but the second quarter was pretty mediocre quarter for his club, and I'm sure they've discussed that at halftime. And one of the things that Don Matthews talked about with his team yesterday, and I was able to overhear their talk at the end of practice, you know, the intensity level has to be there, the emotional level has to be there, and you know, you can't provide it for the players. You have to, it has to come from within, and I think at this point they didn't have that in the second quarter, and I'm sure they discussed that at halftime.
Don Matthews 12-9 as a head coach with the Toronto Argonauts. This is his second tour of duty in Toronto. And in his 18 years as a head coach in the Canadian Football League, he has passed Bob Obilovich and Bud Grant in recent times and is closing in on Ray Yock and Eagle Keys.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how both teams begin this third quarter. You know, Toronto always want to get it back into gear, and for Ottawa, we'll see if they can bring some intensity into this second half.
Let's see if Pinball can light it up for the Argonauts. Not that time. First time he's had his hands on the football. Mike Pinball Clemens stopped at the 31. Good downfield tackling for Ottawa. Robert Drummond is the #1 back in Doug Flutie's offense. And they're trying to find a spot, as Leaf mentioned in the first half, for Clemens, or at least a way to get him the football a little bit.
Well, it has to be as a pass receiver, and they've yet to go to him tonight, so we'll see. You know, in the second half, maybe one of the adjustments maybe they would have talked about.
Flags are down as Flutie goes to his left. He's on target, short of the first down. Joe Miro on the tackle.
And they hit Mike Clemens, so they get him involved early here in the third quarter.
Offside. Ottawa number 90. Decline.
A couple of penalties called on Swift Birch, the former Argo, here tonight.
Again, he was just lined up in the neutral zone. I mean, he didn't jump or anything. He just lined up in there.
So that helps the Argos move the ball the easy way.
One of the tough things for Swift Birch, he doesn't like to get down in the three-point stance. He likes to go rush from the stand-up position. He's kind of at the bottom of your screen explaining his case to the referees still, but he gets leaning over so much that his head and everything is into that neutral zone. And, you know, had he been in a three-point stance, he probably could have realized that he was in there and could have got out of it.
It'll be 1st and 10 Argos. Ball at the Toronto 43.
Yeah, there's his stance there. See, you know, his head, you know, can be in that encroachment area.
Flutie shotgun. Lots of time, and he's on target for a first down. Tyrone Williams, number 81. Call it a gain of 13. Third catch for Williams. And a 1st and 10 for the Argos, just into Ottawa territory at the 54. Flutie to his right has Fairholm. Fairholm has the first down. Tiptoeing down the sidelines. He's out just inside the 25. Ken Wilhite, number 25, got over to force Fairholm out.
And that's matchup Toronto's going to like. It's against Bobby Dawson, who's committed linebacker for Ottawa. And although he was a defensive back at one time, he's beefed up to play that linebacking spot. And Jeff Fairholm has far more speed than Bobby Dawson, and he beats him easily to the outside.
He's having a good night. 30 yards there. Third reception for 56. From the 25, and Flutie thinking run all the way inside the 20-yard line.
Flutie took a pretty good shot there, too. That draw didn't open up the way he thought it was going to, and it closed up in a hurry, and he went helmet to helmet. I think it was Ray Bernard. He's pretty tough. I remember Greg Battle had a shot at him one night. I never thought Flutie would get up off the ground, but somehow he did, and there you see again the look, and it was Ray Bernard.
He grabs 4. This is 2nd and 6, Toronto. Early in the second half. Flutie looks to the 5-yard line and has Williams. Tyrone Williams within 3 yards of the Ottawa goal line.
And here's what Doug Flutie's looking. No safety in the middle. Here's Tyrone Williams. You know the post is coming. As soon as that ball is snapped, you know that's the area they're going. No way Will Height can stay with them. It's a good read by Doug Flutie. Good pattern by Williams. And hey, you get so many chances in a game for the big plays, and the Toronto read the defense and hit it right on the button.
4th catch for Williams. That picks up 17. Argos set up 1st and goal to go. From the 2, Flutie himself, and he flipped it for the touchdown. Tyrone Williams has his 5th touchdown reception of the season. Don Matthews calls this fast break football, and Flutie plays the point guard. Looked like one here.
Yeah, and the key is the play action. I mean, it allows Flutie to come out with no blocking. Watch to the right of your screen. Dwayne Knight just gets caught enough. He's got great speed, but not enough. And, you know, that's like a basketball pass. I mean, that's the most unusual forward pass you're going to see, and yet it results in a touchdown.
End over end, right into Tyrone Williams' hands. Made it look easy on that sequence. Doug Flutie and the Toronto Argonauts improved their lead to 24-4.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won a Daewoo 27-inch high-resolution color TV with multi-channel stereo TV sound, multi-mode on-screen display, and full-function infrared remote control. Or Timex His and Her watches with Indiglo nightlight. It illuminates the entire dial with just the right amount of light to read anywhere. Timex Indiglo. You don't think you need one until you have one. Touchdown to Win ballots available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
Get your entry form at a participating Subway store and tune in again to win.
Experience the magic of the 125th British Open. Coverage begins Thursday on TSN.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. By the Keg Steakhouse and Bar, where good friends get together to enjoy great steaks and share some fun. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
Doug Flutie 5 for 5 on that drive for 75 yards. Good on 15 of 22, 205 yards, and the 1 touchdown so far at Skydome tonight.
Yeah, all of a sudden the numbers look pretty good for him, don't they? 1 drive took care of that.
Will Height back to his 10 for Ottawa. Out to the 30-yard line, 20-yard return. There's a marker down. Here's the scoring drive for the Argonauts as Archer comes onto the field to try and get something going. 6 plays to cover 80 yards and a time of 3:01. And the little shovel pass, or basketball pass, to Nigel Williams. That was his 5th touchdown catch of the season. Or Tyrone Williams. Nigel's in Montreal.
KD's in Winnipeg. Nigel's in Montreal. And Tyrone happens to be in Toronto right now.
That's true.
But, you know, just the way Doug Flutie started the game, they got a field goal on their opening drive. Now they begin the 3rd quarter with the touchdown. And, you know, you always like to see how teams respond after the adjustments and chats that they've had at halftime. And Toronto's offense responded most favorably.
Penalty against Ottawa, so Archer starts back at the 15. And there's nowhere to go for Reggie Barnes. In the grasp of 96, Alex Gordon.
Boy, and you watch how they close down. I mean, you know, this is a good pass rushing team, but watch how this closes down in a hurry at the top there. Here comes Alex Gordon, takes on the block, takes on 2 guys, gets rid of 2 guys, and makes the play. Boy, are they glad to have him back in the lineup.
This is Lee Knight. Had a big week last week against BC. Can't quite get to first down territory. Had up ahead of steam, but the Argos snuff it out near the 25.
No, I think you got to worry about your offensive line. I go back to the previous play when Alex Gordon can come across the line and take on Robert Stevenson and another offensive lineman, beat both of them and smash the running back in the backfield. I think you have to worry about what kind of offensive line you have.
Lee Knight picks up 7, but he's short of the first down, although there is a discussion down there. I didn't see a marker down, Leaf.
Boy, Alex Gordon, knee injury in training camp, missed the first 2 games of the season. This is only his 2nd game, so this is still like training camp for him. And another free agent signing. Actually, he was in a dispersal draft. Tim Cofield was free agent signing. But a couple of great bookends.
There is no infraction on the play. 3rd down.
I guess that's why we didn't see a flag. There was a discussion.
Jake loves those meetings.
So again, the Rough Riders send in Wayne Lamley.
Well, you saw Alex Gordon on the sidelines telling Noah Cantor, see how he took on that double team, man? I just squashed him. And that's one in the film session tomorrow. I'll guarantee you they're going to play that one back and forth. And Bill Bradley, the defensive coordinator, is going to get pretty excited when the whole team looks at that. You talk about little plays that stimulate a team. I mean, to me, that kind of a defensive play stimulates everybody.
Argos on top by 20 at 24-4.
There's old Alex.
Clock is apparently malfunctioned, so they're resetting that. We might as well play the game. Lamley is finally ready, standing back at his 10. This is Cunningham at his 45. And a big run earlier. This is kind of nice too. Down to the Ottawa 45 and across. And great field position for Flutie again after a 21-yard return. Montreal in British Columbia against the Lions on Friday. Both teams looking for their first win. Kind of a critical game in week 4 already.
Well, I think critical for fan support in both cities. You know, obviously only one team's going to win. But I think the fans in BC and in Montreal are probably not too excited about their clubs right now, both off to rough starts.
You can't give Flutie this kind of field position. Starting at the 45. Williams, the intended receiver, took a pretty good hit down there.
And again,
Humphreys.
In zone coverage, you can look into the backfield and you can cheat and you can read those plays. And Leonard Humphreys, who's shown his ability to hit, he put a good shot on Jimmy Cunningham earlier, had an absolute free shot here at Tyrone Williams. And just listen to the sound when he makes contact. That's a tough hit. Right in the chest.
He's been the bright spot for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Leonard Humphreys, number 23.
Well, you know, in the zone, you can make those kind of hits. Man-to-man, it's very difficult to do that. But as he let the wide receiver go, he had the short, flat responsibility, and he saw the play develop all the way. And Leonard Humphreys, who's shown he's a pretty tough customer tonight, connects right in the chest to Tyrone Williams. Another look. I mean, that is a football sound. I mean, we try and show you some sounds every once in a while to create the atmosphere. And let me tell you, that is a real ground level football sound. And good to see Tyrone Williams shake it off and get up. You know, every once in a while, John, I'm not working a game and I go to a game, I love to still go down the field because that's what you miss sometimes. And I mean, you really get into the action when you hear those kind of noises.
2nd and 10. Argos at the Riders' 44. Flutie flips it ahead for Drummond. He's got up ahead of steam, and he's down inside the 30. Another Argonaut first down. Humphreys over to make the tackle from behind with a little help from Dwayne Knight, number 44, 16 yards the gain.
That's a great-looking play. Here's Drummond here, but once the offensive line, all the flow is this way, and then Flutie just back here with one blocker coming inside. And, you know, this is a neat play. I mean, let's get all the flow going that way, and then you get the guard, Pierre Vercheval, scooping around from the backside to get the block on Dwayne Knight. That's pretty well executed play.
From the 29, Flutie on first down. Just missed his intended receiver, Mike Morreale, number 78.
And he's in while Tyrone Williams clears the cobwebs out. But, you know, that particular pass right there was a pass that Doug Flutie could do in Calgary all the time with Pitts and Sapunjas. I mean, he just threw that to an area hoping that Morreale would get there. And, you know, when he was in Calgary, more often than not, Alan Pitts and Dave Sapunjas did. But this is a bit of a different receiving core, and they haven't quite gotten to that level yet.
So Flutie stares at 2nd and 10 from the Ottawa 29. Low snap, no problem. Morreale the target again and can't quite catch up. Joe Miro, number 8, covering on Mike Morreale. 6'3", 210 out of McMaster. Had a pretty good game last year against Calgary. 6 receptions for 82 yards. That was Morreale's best night in the CFL, and that was late in the season.
You and I did that game, and I remember that was like his whole season in one night because he didn't get a lot of playing time. He's got some skills, you know, and he's going to just have to wait his turn.
Work into the rotation.
Absolutely. I talked to him tonight before the game, and, you know, we just talked about being patient, and if you work hard, your opportunity will come.
Vanderjack has another. And another 3 points for the Toronto Argonauts. It is now a 23-point difference. Argos definitely handling the spread.
Hey, Bubba, Dick, back together doing a brew commercial.
Hi, you.
Listen up, guys. This brew's special.
We know brew.
Handcrafted from quality ingredients. Wow. Filtered water, brewed in small batches. Okay, action.
What kind of brew is this?
It's iced tea.
Lipton's Brew Iced Tea. Us Hall of Famers love it.
And Bob, too.
Lipton's Brew Iced Tea. Brewed true.
When back pain begins to cramp your style, ordinary pain relievers often aren't enough. Doctors and pharmacists recommend Robaxacet. It combines 2 active ingredients, one to relieve your back pain, the other to relax your tense back muscles. Robaxacet, helping you walk away from back pain.
Brought to you by the world leader in Windows graphics software, Corel Print House is the fast and easy way for everyone to create great-looking greeting cards, stationery, banners, and more. Work with professionally designed samples or start your own creations from scratch. With Corel Print House, it's only a few easy steps to any printing project. Get creative. Get Corel Print House, the easy all-in-one graphics powerhouse exclusively for Microsoft Windows 95.
Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders have struggled through the 80s and 90s. The last win outside of Ontario was way back in 1990, October 21st. Since then, 0 for 32 at home, 20 of 28. 20 wins, 28 losses. But the Rough Riders have not won on the road in their last 14 games. And they're in trouble here tonight. So is Reggie Barnes with nowhere to go. Wrapped up by Andrew Stewart.
Well, there's been a lot of positive changes to this Toronto defense, but I think you look at Andrew Stewart as one of the big changes. I mean, you need 2 good tackles to push the pocket for guys like Alex Gordon and Tim Cofield coming off the edge, and I don't think there's any question Andrew Stewart's going to give that to them this year. And And he's happy to be in Toronto, too. This is where he's from.
Archer facing 2nd and 12, and he won't get it away. Ken Benson storming through. That will be his first sack of the season. And Archer's been down a couple of times.
But in Don Matthews' system in Baltimore, knows the defenses, was an easy guy to bring in when Joe Washington had disciplinary problems. So Ken Benson fits in. He's not a starter, but he comes in these situations. They don't blitz a lot, but when they do, it's been effective.
So Lamley in standing at his 10. And again, the Argos will come out of this with great field position. They don't need much more. 27-4. 7:22 to go, third quarter. Nice kick by Lamley. Down inside the 40. Cunningham surrounded and down. "51-yard punt, a 4-yard return." Doug Flutie has engineered 18 first downs for the Argos so far, compared to 9 for the Ottawa Rough Riders. There's the difference in yards racked up by the quarterbacks.
Wow, he's such a fierce competitor, and I would have to think that second quarter probably ticked him off. And at halftime, you know, they just talked about it, said the third quarter's got to be our quarter here at home. We're in our park.
Here's Robert Drummond, and he's a fine running back. Remarkable speed, averaging 6.5 yards a carry, and Drummond has a first down all by himself.
Joe Burgos played tackle a year ago. He's moved to guard, and he has enough speed to do it. Watch him on the counter here as he comes across with Drummond and leads him around the corner. Good block on Swift Birch to get Drummond up the inside, but that's again another subtle change for Toronto. They move Burgos inside, and he has enough speed to be able to make that play.
Flutie may take off himself. Pitched ahead again for Fairholm for another first down. Ken Wilhite over on the tackle. It's almost like an option play.
Well, it is an option play, and I mean, this is a terrific style of offense for Toronto. I mean, now you've got the option. You're playing a game against Swift Birch. He has no chance, and then when somebody tries to come up, you've still got the option to throw, and you complete it to Fairholm. I mean, all of a sudden, you got 3 options on one play, and you put the defense in a tremendous bind. It's a fun offense to watch right now.
Another 16 yards for the Argonauts, and Doug Flutie with 5:29 to go, third quarter. Toronto first down at the 41. Flutie stands back and fires this one. And Williams back into the game after being shaken up. Makes the catch. He'll be short of the first down. Give Williams 5 more yards.
Well, you know, you go back to that hit by Leonard Humphreys. Well, Tyrone Williams is 6'5". I mean, that's a pretty good target to take a shot at, and he really took one. But his credit, you know, he's back in the lineup, so you know he's showing some pretty good toughness tonight too.
Didn't see much action, but he did get a couple of Super Bowl rings in the Dallas days. Here's the option to Drummond on the other side, and it looks like he'll have the first down on second and about 5.
Well, this is a great game. Here's the game they play on Swift Birch, and watch as he goes to Flutie. As soon as he makes his move, the pitch goes out, but it's a game 1-on-1, Swift Birch, and there's probably nothing he can do right. He gets caught in no man's land, and all of a sudden Robert Drummond's got a positive gain.
Actually, he comes up a yard shy where they spot the ball now. And a 3rd and 1 to go. The Argos go gunning for this. 3rd and a long yard. Flutie runs the option to the other side, and Drummond may have the first down. Let's see where they spot it. Ken Wilhite saying that Ottawa might have stopped him, and perhaps they have.
Yeah, he wasn't even close. That's good defensive play. I guess they've seen that option 2 or 3 times now, and you know the defense reacted a lot better to it. Again, you know, at 3rd down, Kenny Wilhite looking right into that backfield. He's able to make that play. It's going to come right at you. Now Flutie, they force it. Swift Birch forces that play early. makes Flutie pitch the ball and get some help.
So Archer.
Good job, D.
Out onto the field for Ottawa, trailing by a bunch. Halfway to a first down, but there's no catch. Johnson Joseph couldn't hang on. Ottawa receivers have had a difficult night.
Well, not that we're counting, but that's 2.
For Johnson?
That's 2 drives.
Well, I think everyone's taken a turn at dropping one of Archer's passes so far tonight. On 2nd and 10, Archer for Robert Gordon, and he might have been pulled ahead for the first down. Wilson on the tackle had a hold of him.
And that is not exactly a generous spot for Bobby Gordon, where his progress went to. I think they gypped him out of about half a yard there, and this may mean that he is short of that first down marker. Boy, Ottawa needs all the help they can get.
Any little break at any time would help the Ottawa Rough Riders right now.
And it's short. Not by much.
They have to go for this.
I think he got a bad spot.
Well, Wilson seemed to drag him ahead after making contact, and his knees didn't touch the ground for a bit. Toronto has 8 first downs in the third quarter. Ottawa has none. And can't find one there. Third down, less than a yard to go. David Archer and the Ottawa Rough Riders down 27-4. No markers down as Archer carries himself, and that will be the first down for Ottawa in the second half. 2:53 to go, third quarter. Biggest change in the Ottawa Rough Riders this week. The new president, Jim Durrell, the former mayor of Ottawa, takes over as Leo Cahill's boss.
Yeah, I think that's really a positive move. You look at the structure of this club, and I think they need corporate credibility right now. And no question, Jim Durrell will definitely bring that to the club.
David Archer on target. That'll be a first down out at the 45-yard line. Joseph Rogers, number 83. 14 receptions, 241 yards, and 3 touchdowns coming in. A big 22-yard gain for Ottawa there by Rogers.
Yeah, and he had a great game last week against BC. Sure impressed me with his speed, and that was a good corner pattern on Don Odegaard. This is the distribution of David Archer. Has been staying in the middle a lot with those dump passes to his backs.
Archer for Reggie Barnes. He lost the ball and got it back. He made the catch, then fumbled. Grabs a couple of yards. Again, 2nd and long.
And it really is the Toronto defensive philosophy to make teams do this. Make them put a lot of plays together to score, and they're feeling more often than not his offenses are going to make a mistake, which Ottawa has tonight, and shoot themselves in the foot.
On 2nd and 7, Archer running for his life, and he can't escape. Tim Cofield ran him down, number 56. 3-time CFL All-Star. Led the league in sacks last year. Had a couple coming into tonight.
Well, Tim Cofield up to the right of your screen gets his 2nd sack of the evening, and this is just hard work. He's coming on a stunt, and yet he still has the ability, when Archer breaks containment, to get to the outside and run him down from behind. And boy, it's no wonder why he had 24 last year. I mean, you look at his career coming into tonight, 75 games, 69. So now 76 games. He's got 71 sacks in his CFL career. You talk about consistency, that man right there has it. Will Johnson's the only other guy that I could think of that has that same kind of consistency rushing the quarterback.
Lamley across the 45, got a charge from Wilson. Great kick by Lamley. Down to the 1. Cunningham. like a water bug down there. He's out near the 10-yard line on the return. Timmy Cofield, a couple of sacks tonight. The Argos lead the way. It's 27-4.
Great football. Great software. Join the winning team. It's unbeatable.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. There's a prize for every touchdown and interception during TSN telecast. Prizes like MasterCard Traveler's Checks from Bank of Montreal, Macassa Stoneware and the Lifestyle Pattern, Minolta Compact Zoom Binoculars, or Timex Watches with Indiglo Nightlight. Or win a trip for two to Puerto Vallarta courtesy of Canadian Holidays, Canada's largest vacation company. Safeway feature products, Old Dutch Tortillas. Cottonelle Big 8's bathroom tissue. Touchdown to win at Safeway, today's better way.
McDonald's, really, really proud sponsor of the Olympic Games.
A reminder, Labatt Blue Jays baseball continues on TSN tomorrow. The Tigers in town against the Jays. Pre-game show at 7 o'clock. And then go deep at Sky Dome with the Blue Jays and the Tigers tomorrow night. Flutie's had great field position for the entire second half until now, beginning at the 10-yard line. Drummond out to about the 12. Time ticking down in the third quarter.
No, there's Robert Drummond. It was funny to talk to them yesterday. I mean, he's always smiling, and he's kind of like Pinball Clements, who's always smiling. They kind of have smiling contests, the players were telling us.
Tough to beat the pinball smile, although he may not be quite as happy again tonight. He hasn't really been used in the offense. Touched the ball a couple of times is all. Once on a return, once on a reception.
He won't complain, though, I'll tell you that.
It'll be the end of the third quarter as Tommy Henry makes the tackle on Jimmy Cunningham. Argos on top by a bunch. It's 27-24 with a quarter to go.
CFL Live at the Quarter. Brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
Welcome back to the studio. On that last play, the coach is going, hit him right in the mouth. You got to run right through him. You got to go after him, Bobby. What are you doing there? But you do. You get very few opportunities at Doug Flutie, and when those opportunities come up as a defensive player, you got to make him pay, right, Les?
Oh, most people don't even get a chance to get a shot at Doug Flutie like that. And he had a clean opportunity to run right through the guy, and no one blocked him at all, and he ended up stopping and dancing around, thinking that Doug's going to run around him, and then he completes a pass.
You know who's looked really good defensively for Ottawa is Leonard Humphreys. He's laid a few hits out and made some fine defensive plays, and Ty Williams will tell you that.
And I can't believe this kid is a corner. I mean, as a corner, he's a rookie playing that good. I picked Derek Greer for the Hamilton Tiger Cats to probably be the best secondary, guy in the CFL that I know of for sure. But this kid is playing. Yeah, he's got really good feet. He stays on the ball really good and knows how to come up and lay a lick too.
Hey, Les, quick point. You know who I feel sorry for this week is Jim Durrell, the former Ottawa mayor, took over this week as the Rough Riders president. He's got a hard sales job. His main function will be to try to go out and gain corporate support in that Ottawa community, or even find some partners for Horn Chin. And I'm telling you, after this bit of ineptitude tonight, I don't like his chances for gaining that support that quickly.
Well, I have to disagree, Marty, because I think that Jim Durrell's a perfect guy for the Ottawa situation. I think that's what's been lacking with that franchise for the last several years. They haven't had the credibility from someone within the community, and Jim's well thought of by the corporate sector. He is a very sports-minded individual. He was very instrumental in bringing hockey and baseball, and he's been very supportive of the Rough Riders over the years, and that's the kind of guy they need in there, and he'll complement that present situation, and hopefully the Ottawa fans will get behind their team.
Well, they're down big time in this football game, 27-4. And you know what? We never even talked about Flutie's shovel pass. Wasn't that something? What we'll do is we'll take another break because we got to head back out to Skydome.
Doug Flutie and the Argos putting it to the Ottawa Rough Riders. So far, there's a quarter to go at Skydome.
Boy, I thought Bob Abilovich's comments were very astute in the studio. I mean, I think if there is, and it will be a tough job, but if there is anybody that has the credibility in the Ottawa community, is Jim Jarrell, and he's the guy that can get the job done if that's possible.
Mazzotti, and that'll be an Argonaut first down. Humphreys over to make the tackle on Paul Mazzotti. Take a look at the numbers through 3 quarters, and the Argonauts are leading in virtually every category.
Yeah, and here's the problem area becomes right here for Ottawa. I mean, this is a team that complement David Archer has to rush the football, and 20 yards through 3 quarters. Now, it's almost meaningless now because you're so far behind, but that's really a number that must improve for this team to have success on offense.
Argos 1st and 10 at the Toronto 43. Flutie reared back and fired that one, and there was a chance there for Wilhite, 25. Tyrone Williams, the intended receiver.
You know, it's funny, and I mentioned this when we did Toronto and Montreal to open the season, but talking to Doug Flutie, which I do quite a bit, and talking about Tyrone Williams and comparisons to Alan Pitts and all this, and again, it's worth repeating. Flutie said, I mean, physically all the skills are there. The one thing that has to improve is the intensity. At every play, I mean, to have that intensity, to want the football, to make the big play, and I feel that will come, but that's maybe the only thing that's missing, and that's not a knock.
Flutie on 2nd and 10. And Williams couldn't hang on. Dwayne Knight was way back in the coverage, and so was Frank West.
And that's the intensity we talk about, to want to make this catch. I mean, the ball was perfectly thrown. Yes, it would have been a good catch, one that everybody would say great catch, but the fact was the ball was there, and he's not going to be a star until he can make these plays. Yes, he's got 5 touchdowns, but he's got to make these plays on a consistent basis.
1 touchdown tonight for Tyrone Williams. Here's Ken Wilhite. And hit by the first man upfield, which was Brendan Rodgers. Made a stop in BC. You remember him better from his days in Winnipeg.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won a TriStar packing case by Skyway Luggage with practical features and modern-day innovations for today's experienced traveler. Skyway Luggage, quality and durability for over 85 years. Or Minolta Compact Zoom Binoculars, a convenient zoom lever lets you locate a subject at low power, then examine it in detail. Minolta high performance at an economical price. Touchdown to Win ballots, available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
It's 6 past the hour at the end of another busy Friday.
As the moment approaches, Eatmore promises rich, dark toffee loaded with peanuts. That's not too sweet tasting. When the moment arrives, Eatmore promises to take a good, long while. Chew and eat more. Stretch the moment. It's a real, long chew.
Ottawa Rough Riders are looking over ahead at some guy swinging around in the rafters. There's Billy Hess, number 80.
There it is.
Now there's a job that I turned down. This is called the Argos A-Team. And I think as you see the Rough Riders checking this guy out, they're really not thinking about the football game here.
He's got those giveaway footballs that they have at the park tonight, and he's going to unload one.
It'll be a first down for the Rough Riders as play resumes. Time is a problem now for David Archer. He really has to put some sustained drives together.
See if I can get
There's
Marty
lots-
York to come down here and go on that thing one time.
1st and 10 Ottawa. Beginning at the 33. Archer unloads in a hurry, and Hess makes the catch. He dropped one earlier. They were partners a year ago in San Antonio. Hess and Archer. Oh, hang on, that's the Duke, number 85. Slipped into the Ottawa scheme of things and made the catch. And Ellingson comes up inches short of a first down.
Well, right now, I'd recommend the quarterback sneak.
You didn't like They weren't listening before when you said play action. This is Hess hooking up with Archer in San Antonio.
Yeah, those were good times. That was a good football team a year ago, and you see those plays, and that's one of the reasons why I think that Billy Hess has a chance to catch a lot of balls with Ottawa. He's had a tough night tonight. He dropped a couple, but I think he's got a chance. He's a quality receiver, and boy, they had a good time in San Antonio last year. That was a solid football team. Those are his numbers, obviously, a year ago.
10.
I think he can do better than those 55. I think he can have a 1,000-yard season and be up around 70.
10 receptions, 148 yards so far this year, or at least coming into tonight. Archer on target, far side. That's Johnson Joseph, wrapped up by Marcelo Simmons, number 9. And that'll be a first down, Ottawa. Gain is 12 yards. He's been Ottawa's best defender so far tonight. Leonard Humphreys being checked out on the sidelines as Archer stands in, and now he's got something going as the Duke makes another catch. James Ellingson down inside the 35. Now Archer rallied the troops last week. He's got a longer way to come back right now. Gain is 20 yards for Ellingson.
And they've done a lot better since they've been in this hurry-up offense.
Down to the Argonaut 34. Archer has Barnes, and Barnes slips across the 30-yard line. About halfway to a first down.
Still, that's great reaction from Reggie Givens, a middle linebacker, to come up and make that hit and limit him to only 5 yards. And, for John Payne, he's still learning his personnel. There's Reggie. That was a good play. But for John Payne, he's still learning about his team, who can perform and who he may have to change down the road.
Archer on 2nd and 5. Hess met immediately. And the spot here will be important. That was Reggie Givens, the middle linebacker, who is the Argonauts' leading tackler every game this season. And in total,
talk about Billy Hess as a possession receiver. I mean, he knows it's 2nd and 5, so he's just trying to get that amount. He's a little bit short, but has enough room to get it close enough that they'll bring the sticks in.
And back in the Argonaut backfield, an injured Ottawa Rough Rider. As you see, Hess did have enough for the first down. James Ellingson is shaken up behind the play. This has been the best drive that Ottawa has been able to put together for a long, long time. No touchdowns for Ottawa so far, as Ellingson is being treated on the field.
Well, I talked about John Payne and, his adjustments. Obviously, putting in a new scheme that he feels comfortable with, that he can best utilize his personnel. It's been a two-back offense, more structured offense, which I think is good for this team. But, again, he's trying to get used to the personnel. I mean, who will he maybe have to change down the road? And it certainly is a learning process for him.
Archer on 1st and 10. At the Argonaut 24. Away from one, can't get away from the second wave. Stewart missed him the first time, but came back and got to the Ottawa quarterback.
Well, you talk about second effort from Andrew Stewart. Here he is right here. Watch the pass rush, because John's right. He missed the first time, David Archer, but he's going to get up off the ground and finally get the sack. There he misses, but it's the old drill. Do that roll, get up, and make the sack, and that's a heck of a play. And already you see the contribution he's making. You need that. Every good pass rushing team has to have push up the middle, and he's giving them that.
Archer on second and a bunch for Barnes. Spins off one. And he needed a whole bunch of yards on 2nd and 16. He got about 12 back. On a little screen pass from Archer.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question on 3rd down. I mean, this is all gambling territory. They need touchdowns, not field goals.
27-4. Argonauts leading the Rough Riders at Skydome tonight. 9:05 to go, 4th quarter.
Here Toronto just coming with a 3-man rush, and they bring an extra linebacker in for coverage.
3rd and 6. No catch by Johnson Joseph, number 13. He was short of the first down in that area anyway.
And give Toronto a lot of credit. They doubled Billy Hess, who's really been the favorite possession guy for David Archer tonight, and they meet. They needed to go. They wanted to go to Hess. Here's Hess out in the middle. They double him, and they go outside Johnson Joseph. That's where they want to force Archer to throw the ball, not where Archer wanted to throw it. And all of a sudden, you get the turnover on the 3rd down gamble.
Long night for the Rough Riders once again. Brief glimmer of hope last week and a comeback win over the BC Lions. Archer looked sharp. In the early going, he had a lot of drop passes by his receivers.
Going back to that last defensive play, and Bill Bradley is the defensive coordinator. He was in San Antonio last year. He's got a terrific defensive mind, and just the subtle strategies of the game. To take Alex Gordon out, only go with a 3-man rush. You bring the extra DB in, George Namako, and you can cover the key guy that you anticipate Archer's going to go to, and that was Billy Hess, and you make him throw to a spot that he doesn't want to, and that's terrific defense.
Argos have had a successful second half as well. Touchdown field goal on the first 2 possessions. Don Matthews is on a 1-game losing streak after winning the final 10 games last year, a couple of playoff games, and the Grey Cup as the head coach in Baltimore. He lost his first game of this season.
Well, you look at
the
this
Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Sorry, John. This matchup that we'll have for you Friday night from Vancouver, and boy, Andre Ware showed a lot of positive things in that loss in Ottawa a week ago, and if he can build upon that, he's got a pretty good cast around him with Sean Millington and Corey Philpott. But be interesting to see if Andre Ware can elevate to the next level, because he had a pretty good game last week.
First carry for the pinball, Mike Clemens. Talking about Matthews being on a 1-game losing streak. I met at home. They lost to the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I kind of wondered what you meant by that.
And beat the Bombers last week. So the Argos haven't won at Skydome so far this year. Both victories have been on the road.
And as a coach, if you're going to have a successful season, that you have to dominate at home. And you're right, they haven't won here so far. So, he's going to want to get to the 500 level, at least at home. You have to dominate in your own park if you want to be a top team.
They must be feeling rather comfy right now as Flutie looked to Fairholm, who was busy early in the game. Cut first 2 passes from Flutie.
Yeah, and here's where Flutie. Sorry, John. Here's where Flutie makes an offensive line look good. I mean, essentially, he threw that away. He felt the pressure coming early. He doesn't take the hit and threw it away, and there's no chance for a sack. So, over the course of his career, he has made some offensive lines look pretty good.
Vanderjack has been punting well, and markers are down already in the return area. This is Johnson Joseph actually stumbling and pinned by Morelli. Likely an illegal substitution before the punt. We'll check that out when we return to Skydome, where the Argos are in control.
if you like action.
Welcome to the Gordie Howe exhibit.
You'll love the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's fun, it's surprising, it's interactive. The Hockey Hall of Fame. It's so much fun, you won't know what hit you.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
The diamond engagement ring. How else could 2 months' salary last forever?
The Edmonton Eskimos have jumped out to an early lead, 6-0, as they lead the Blue Bombers. Kent Austin is out due to injury. Reggie Slack has come off the bench for Winnipeg.
Maybe that'll solve the quarterbacking controversy in Winnipeg.
That's one way to do it.
Slack is in. Austin is out. We'll keep you posted on what's going on there. Now, the penalty was against the Ottawa Roughriders as we took a quick break here. They had too many men on the field, so that means an automatic first down for the Argos. And that's the kind of night it's been for Ottawa. Mazzotti to the near side. Cunningham to the far side of the field on 1st and 10 for Flutie and the Argos. Just across the 35-yard line. Toronto leading 27-4. Flutie buying a little time, finds the pinball, and Clemens will have a first down.
That's the beauty of Doug Flutie, you know, always the freelancer, and I mean, that play was over almost before it started, but somehow he's able to direct traffic and somehow complete a pass to Mike Clemens. And again, you know, throughout his career, it's always the intangible that he will give this team, or any team that he's the quarterback of.
23-yard gain. Argos across midfield now, threatening to add to this lead already at 6:49 left in the fourth quarter. Drummond reaches up and grabs another Flutie offering. Henry was there, number 6. Had a little help from Dwayne Knight, number 44. 8 yards for Drummond. Lots of weapons as the Argos round this offense into shape.
Well, there you see the distribution. Ottawa playing that wall-off kind of secondary where they force you to go outside, and Doug Flutie has been very willing to do that. You see 18 of his completions to the outside.
Mike Clemens breaks through, breaks another tackle, and another one as Clemens gets inside the 25. I thought he was down, and somehow he emerged from a sea of Rough Riders.
Well, and Mike Clemens, who's been a little frustrated this year, he hasn't talked much about it. He's not that kind of person. But I think this is going to do a lot to recharge his batteries. He just made a catch, got a couple of catches in this half, and now one of the seldom times he'll carry the ball on the ground, and you hear the buzz in the crowd when he touches it. 2 carries tonight, pretty good average.
22 yards on that play. And he looked to be stopped there, but somehow squirted through for a few more. I thought he was stopped dead in his tracks. But he managed a gain of 3.
Well, I don't know how in the world he got away from Dwayne Knight, but he's like that old Timex, just keeps on ticking right here, gets away from the hog tie of Dwayne Knight and keeps those legs moving. That's always been the key with Michael Clemens. He's always kept his feet moving, legs churning, and that's one of the reasons why throughout his career he's always been able to break a lot of tackles. He just doesn't slow down when he takes on the first hit. That's tough to do when you're a little guy.
Right now, Pinball alone back in Flutie's backfield on 2nd and 7. Flutie fakes the pass and steps out of bounds near the 10. Bobby Dawson forced him out. Dawson was in the Argo camp for training this year. Flutie grabs 9, another Toronto first down.
Doug Flutie's just kind of having some fun here in the second half. And really that opening drive, John, to the third quarter set the tone where they marched it down. They got the touchdown, and that was a pretty strong statement, and they haven't looked back at all.
Really haven't. The lead at halftime was comfortable, but not substantial enough, and I don't know that the Argos were all that pleased with the way they'd gone in the first half. Flutie to the end zone. Over the shoulder catch for the touchdown. Not over his shoulder, over the defender's shoulder.
Over Leonard Humphreys, who's had a pretty good game tonight, and Leonard Humphreys just got his pocket picked in the corner. And this is a play that Paul Mazzotti has made a number of times throughout his career, and a pass that Doug Flutie is willing to throw to him because he knows his receiver will go up and fight for the football. And this is a beauty. I mean, this is jump ball, and Doug Flutie knows that his guy is going to go up and make a great effort, and that's what it was. That was a great
effort because the coverage was very close to being there. Humphreys was with Mazzotti, but Mazzotti made the play to get the touchdown. Lots of weapons on these Argos for Flutie to have a little fun with.
Well, when we talked to Paul Mazzotti in our half-hour pregame show tonight, he said, well, it's just fun playing with Doug Flutie. Well, it's fun because Doug Flutie has a lot of confidence in Paul Mazzotti's abilities, too, to go up and catch footballs like that in a crowd. And Doug Flutie would never worry about throwing an interception in that situation because he knows his guy is going to be in the hunt to get the football. And that's a heck of a catch.
One more for the Argo total.
What was that?
Mike Vanderjack saying one more for the Argos total.
Yeah, okay.
34-4 now.
Pinball Clements had a big contribution on that drive. Here's a good look at it. I mean, the bump and rub matchup, once you get that outside position at the end, he fights back over the top, and I've simplified that in the drawing, but this is thrown behind. He takes the shot. Now he's located the ball before Humphreys has, and he wins the battle.
Methodical drive by Flutie finished off on a toss to Mazzotti from the 11-yard line. 8 plays to cover 90 yards, and they took 5 minutes off the clock. 30-point difference. Covering the spread with ease are these Argos tonight.
Boy, you look back at professional football and all the great combinations that have been able to make that play. And, the first one I recall was Joe Namath to Don Maynard. And the Jets, in that Super Bowl year, they used to run that play to death. And Doug Flutie's now working it with Paul Mazzotti.
No play for Wilhite as it rolls out with 3:49 to go in the final quarter. And it looks like the Rough Riders will make a change at quarterback. Steve Taylor.
Been a tough slug for the Ottawa Rough Riders on their road trips. And, if you can't win some of your games on the road, you just don't have a chance to challenge.
Well, the Argos, the Alouettes, and the Tiger Cats have all struggled on the road through different eras. But the key story really is Ottawa right now. This will be number 15. 15 games without a victory away from Frank Clair Stadium. And really, if you look back over the last few years, too few victories at that stadium as well. Wilhite from the 20 for Ottawa. Down by 30 points, just playing out the string. And it looks like Steve Taylor is going to get a little playing time here.
I think that's a pretty smart move at this point. The game is lost, and you might as well give Steve Taylor some playing time. Those are his numbers throughout his career.
Now Archer had some problems with drop passes tonight, but I don't know if he was as sharp as we have seen him. What did you think?
Well, he wasn't lighting it up, but he wasn't that bad either. I mean, this was simply a lack of enthusiasm, intensity, all of those things, and I don't know if it's playing games too close together or whatever, but, it just wasn't there.
Taylor on target for Rogers with his first pass. Rogers stopped near the 40-yard line by Reggie Givens.
Steve, of course, at one time held the clipboard in Calgary for Doug Flutie. Then he had his shot in Hamilton and really couldn't take advantage of it.
Had 9 starts for the Tiger Cats last year.
He and Anthony Cavillo, they kind of alternated who's ever hot got the playing time.
Barnes from Taylor, and he pays a solid shot from Don Wilson.
Again, all the good hits in this game tonight have occurred out of zone defense where you could just read into the backfield, and that's exactly what Donnie Wilson did right there. He took the opportunity to unload on Reggie Barnes.
Long way back for the Ottawa Rough Riders. They're not going to make it tonight, folks. Down by 30. Archer couldn't get the job done.
Are you ready to taste the one sandwich that started it all for Subway? The classic Italian BMT. 4 magnificent kinds of delicious deli meats on fresh baked bread. Plus, your choice of fresh veggies. You want tomatoes, lettuce, onions. Just point and you got them. Which makes this Italian classic a mouth-watering masterpiece. Hey, is it any wonder the classic Italian BMT is still taking everyone by storm? So hurry in to get the one that started it all. The classic Italian BMT from Subway.
Who's next?
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. By the Keg Steakhouse and Bar, where good friends get together to enjoy great steaks and share some fun. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team. (34-4), Toronto on top of Ottawa's Lamley. Boots another high one. This one coming down to Cunningham inside the 15. Good speed to the outside, and he's grabbed from behind on a solid tackle by Sammy Brennan, number 22. 3rd round Ottawa draft pick out of Canada in 1996. And the Riders have changed quarterbacks, so now do the Argonauts. Markel Fleetwood comes in.
A former Ottawa Rough Rider.
That's true. Won the job after a fine game against Ottawa during the preseason.
Good guy. He knows he's not going to get a lot of playing time, obviously, under Flutie, but we chatted a couple of weeks ago, and he's got a terrific attitude. He said, what an opportunity for me to learn from Doug Flutie how to read defenses, how to direct the team, how to run an offense. And, with that kind of attitude, he's only going to get better and better when his shot comes down the road.
Drummond gets the call. And there might be a face mask in there from the area where that flag came down. We'll check that out. Zizakovic. That's Lubo Zizakovic.
Major foul. Face mask. Ottawa number 98. First down.
Brother Shreko has retired from the Calgary Stampeders this season. Maybe you can see the call here, and it's fairly obvious on the replay. So it'll be 1st and 10.
No more flying Zizakovics out there
there's
anymore.
only one Zizakovic.
Flying solo.
2:28 to go, 4th quarter.
Fleetwood to his right, and he's forced out near the 50-yard line. That's exactly where it'll be spotted. Dwayne Knight, number 44.
He does have some speed, Dwayne Knight. I mean, Markel Fleetwood was in full flight around a corner, and Dwayne Knight still caught him. I mean, you have to be impressed. There he is, rookie a year ago, started 15 games, and now the starting assignment this year. I mean, I am impressed with him. The times he's had Robert Drummond in pass coverage tonight, he has been on his hip the whole way. Drummond's caught a few balls, but it's still been pretty solid coverage.
Gain is 8. This will be 2nd and 2. And this is the pinball. Mike Clemens. He'll have plenty for the first down. Across midfield and down to the Ottawa 51. 9 yards for the pinball. Things don't get much easier for Ottawa. Next game is home to the Eskimos, July 25th.
But you know what? Historically, they've played well against Edmonton at home, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason they've always been up for those games, and you know, we'll see if they can regroup.
Eskimos on the turf at home tonight against the Blue Bombers. Had the lead a while ago. Fleetwood for Toronto, and this one is picked off. Jacobitz returns it to the 40. Jason Jacobitz, starting safety for the Rough Riders. With 1:47 on the clock, it's too little too late for Ottawa. They're down by 30 points.
Red, white, and brewed in Canada. It's where we brew this bud for you.
Men in Speed Stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of pickup. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. By Menon.
Markel Fleetwood. I should say Steve Taylor is in for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Markel Fleetwood replaced Doug Flutie a couple of moments ago. Ottawa looking at 2nd and 10, back at the 39, down by 30 points. Life, but he'll escape a couple of big Argos and step out of bounds after grabbing the first down.
I mean, if that doesn't make you run as fast as you've ever run in your life, nothing will. When you've got Tim Cofield chasing you from behind, I'm not sure who the other Argonaut was, but I mean, that will make you run as fast as you've ever gone.
Andrew Stewart was the other
I think it was Andrew Stewart, 73. But watch this right here. How bad, I mean, that has gone into 4th gear. That would terrify anybody.
Taylor gets a first down right at midfield. Long night for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Little screen pass to Reggie Barnes, and he's wrapped up quickly right back at the original line of scrimmage by Rob Waldrop. Argos' next game at Saskatchewan, July 26th. Ahead this week, Montreal at BC. We'll have that for you Friday night on TSN. And the final game of Week 4 will be Hamilton and Calgary on Saturday.
Yeah, that should be a great matchup. Hamilton lucky to escape with a 27-24 win over Saskatchewan at home last Saturday night.
Johnson Joseph makes the catch.
Should not qualify that. Not lucky, but it wasn't pretty. Let's put it that way.
No.
They're going to have to play a lot better for 4 quarters. Hamilton's biggest problem right now is they just don't have the consistency right now. And offensively, they take a couple of series off and then have a good one. And boy, when you go to Calgary, you better have everything tied in together if you want to beat them in their own park.
Well, I think the Argos were wondering about their consistency coming into this game tonight, because there were a few moments in the Hamilton game in particular and in the first game of the season, but you'd have to think they're a fairly consistent looking football team, at least against this Ottawa defense tonight.
They're a little lull in the second quarter, but outside of that, I think they should be pretty pleased with this performance.
Taylor is picked off. Marcelo Simmons, number 9.
Goodness gracious, that's one of those old tunnel vision passes where you absolutely have your eyes locked in so much on your own guy that you don't see the other guy right in front of you. It's tough to explain. You can't believe it happens, but somehow it just does. Steve Taylor just throws it dead into the arms of Marcelo Simmons. You know, you think, what is he looking at? But for some reason, you just don't see that defensive back, and it's happened to every quarterback that's ever played.
Pretty nice defensive evening for the Argonauts.
They may not have played too long if that keeps happening.
Yeah.
But it happens to everybody.
Argos have allowed just 4 points. "33 seconds.
This is a pretty classy move right here, you know, with 33 to go and your backup quarterback in. A lot of teams would say, look, they can write it off that we're going to give him some playing time and let him try and still execute the offense. But, you know, this is a pretty classy move. Ottawa's had a tough night, and there's no sense rubbing their noses in it, and I'm sure John Payne appreciates that.
Time will tick down on the Ottawa Roughriders, who lose their third game in 4 starts. The reverse is true for the Argos. 3 wins in their first 4 games of 1996, and this is beginning to look like a very fine Toronto Argonaut football team, although it was expected to be the way that Don Matthews put things together. He has Flutie at the controls and a wonderful defensive unit that's been handcrafted. And the final seconds have now ticked off at Skydome. David Archer has a tough night. Don Matthews has a lot of questions answered on both sides of the football. Tim Cofield. Pretty nice night. Couple of sacks for 4 on the season. And Doug Flutie has his 3rd win as an Argonauts by 30 points over the Ottawa Roughriders.
The definition of gray. The boring midtones found between black and white. The definition of the Grey Cup, the Great Canadian Party. It's time to stand up and get passionate about your country, its traditions, its future. One of these great traditions is football played the way it was meant to be, radically Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's hard-hitting, it's longer, wider, faster football. Every game is an event, a party. More importantly, it's our game and we won't change it for anyone. The CFL, radically Canadian and proud of it. Now you too can be a radical Canadian by wearing radical hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and golf shirts, all from Starter Canada. Get radical from only $19.99. Call 1-800-545-5757. These items aren't available in any store. The only way you can get radical is to call now. Dare to be different. Get radical. Be Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's radically Canadian. Call 1-800-545-5757 now.
Take me to the garden. Say, you're our Keem Elijah one, aren't you? Right. You really did a number on us 2 years ago. Where we going? The garden. What's in that toy? Shortcut.
Not going anywhere for a while? Grab a Snickers, because nothing will hold you over like peanuts, caramel, and milk chocolate.
Well, here we are. The garden.
Hungry? Why wait?
In this clinic, I can't stop for a tough headache, so I asked the doctor. We talked about different kinds of pain relievers, aspirin and Tylenol. But today, she recommends Advil. It really works fast, and it's tough on pain. Just 1 Advil's as effective as 2 regular-strength Tylenol. Headache?
No, thanks. I've already got one. Hey.
Advil, for today's tough pain.
This summer, TSN and Subway want you to put the bite on us to win. Win one of 6 weekly baseball or football prize packs, and all correct entries will qualify to win a grand prize trip to 2 World Series games or a trip to this year's Grey Cup game. Get an entry at participating Subway stores, then tune in and look for the Subway Bite during TSN baseball and CFL broadcasts, and mail in each week for a chance to win.
Tonight's Corral Radically Canadian Player of the Game. On defense, Tim Cofield.
He had a terrific game. 2 sacks on the night. Here was his first one, and 4 sacks now in 4 games, giving the Toronto defense exactly what they wanted when they signed him as a free agent. Relentless pass rush.
And on offense, the Argo quarterback, Doug Flutie, 24 of 37, 318 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Passing. He also rushed for 1 and carried for 54 yards on 8 possessions. Cofield and Flutie lead the Argos to a convincing win over Ottawa.
Boy, was it ever a convincing win. 34-4, the final in the football game. The Toronto Argonauts were favored by some 18 points, and they did make it relatively easy, gentlemen.
Too easy. I think that Ottawa just came out really flat. They were really pumped for their game against their last game against BC because they had the change of head coach and everything, and they came out really flat today.
Speaking of head coaches, gentlemen, and I hate to interrupt, but Don Matthews is now joining us live from Skydome, and congratulations, Coach, on the victory.
Well,
as I was saying, you guys were 18-point favorites, and you did make it look relatively easy tonight.
Well, I don't know about the 18-point favorite, but we were very happy with the win. The defense played super, just like we hoped they would, but offensively we weren't in sync. Doug didn't feel like he had a really good flow with the game. He missed some passes he thought he should have made, but certainly that was a decisive victory, and we're happy with it.
Don, it's Pavel Bilovich. You got to be happy with the way the defense is coming around from the last game. I think that you've only allowed 1 touchdown in the last minute of last week's game, so this makes your team look that much stronger right now.
Bob, you're right. And the thing is, our defense all year, except for 1 quarter against Hamilton, has played very, very well. In the second quarter against Hamilton, we gave up 17 points, and partly that was a lot of my fault. I had them in some bad defenses that we won't put them in anymore. But our defense, when we put them in the right defenses, they play very, very well.
Hey, Coach, this is Les Brown. How far down the road do you think that it's going to take your team to get in total sync?
Well, I don't know. The thing that's out of sync is that the quarterback and the receivers aren't exactly on the same page. Doug has been for so long with those receivers in Calgary that he just felt right at home. We're still making a few mistakes trying to read each one. I think you saw that tonight when Tyrone did a curl and we threw it behind him and almost got a pick. But that's just the receivers and the quarterback getting on the same page. And that's why I like to play Doug a lot, so that he can get in sync with those receivers.
Well, it was a great game by Doug Flutie tonight. At times, he looked absolutely sensational. The shovel pass to Ty Williams, I love that one particularly. Coach, congratulations on the win. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Head coach Don Matthews of the Toronto Argonauts. He's victorious. His team improves to 3-1 on the season, and he said that there are some wrinkles that they have to iron out with this club, but that's to be expected early in the season, especially when you only get a couple of exhibition games in.
Well, look, there's a lot of jubilation in Toronto, I guess, but the poor Rough Riders, how are they going to draw anybody to that game against Edmonton in Ottawa next week? They're going to have something like nude night or something where people can get in for free if they come in naked or something. Wait, they did that in Class A baseball in California. They might as well do that there.
You know what, though? If you're going to the game, I don't think that's going to be much of a draw. I think nude night in Ottawa with Marty York being a special guest could be somewhat of a deterrent rather than a plus.
You don't like me?
You know what, though, over the years, categorically, I can think of a lot of games where Ottawa and Edmonton used to provide some of the best games ever played in this league. And if Ottawa can get in sync and get familiar, like the new receiver tonight, Johnson looked pretty good out there, number 13, and maybe getting him in there with Rogers and the other receivers and getting Reggie the ball a little more. They look tired to me tonight. They look like they were struggling.
As the season progresses, we're finding out that there are new stars rising in Ottawa, like the receiver that scored a touchdown for him last week, and that's the receiver that Coach just mentioned this week. As Humphreys is a defensive back we just picked up. There are new stars arriving each week for Ottawa, but pretty soon they just have to jump up and just play out this one.
And you know what? David Archer was not at his best. He did have a lot of balls dropped in this football game, but Archer was not as sharp as we have seen him be in the past. What we'll do is we'll take another break. There's still more to come on our post-game show. Stay tuned.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won $300 in MasterCard Travelers checks from Bank of Montreal, or the new Dirt Devil Broom Vac and Ultra Handbag. Touchdown to Win ballots available at all participating Safeway stores.
Are you ready to taste the one sandwich that started it all for Subway? The classic Italian BMT. 4 magnificent kinds of delicious deli meats on fresh baked bread. Plus, your choice of fresh veggies. You want tomatoes, lettuce, onions. Just point and you got them. Which makes this Italian classic a mouth-watering masterpiece. Hey, is it any wonder the classic Italian BMT is still taking everyone by storm? So hurry in to get the one that started it all. The classic Italian BMT from Subway.
She spilled 1 million gallons of oil. That's an abstract number. This is reality.
1, the need. Protect the wonders of nature from the accidents of man. 2, the innovation. A massive floating sponge that soaks up oil before it contaminates the shore. That's 3M innovation.
With this, we help keep nature alive.
We make a difference in the world because we make the leap from need to innovation. 3M innovation.
If your name appears below, you're today's winner of a trip for 2 to Puerto Vallarta. You'll stay for 7 relaxing days and 6 magical nights courtesy of Canadian Holidays, Canada's largest vacation company. Touchdown to win ballots, available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
Welcome back to the CFL Live. The Edmonton Eskimos at home in Commonwealth Stadium tonight, playing host to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And look at the Bombers with a 10-6 lead in the second quarter. Early in this football game, Kent Austin was knocked out of the game due to a concussion. Reggie Slack has come on in relief. Troy Westwood with a field goal. Now 10-6, as aforementioned, in the second quarter. And injuries being racked up there. They're telling me that Gerald Wilcox is also out of the game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He entered as their leading receiver so far this season. And Darren Flutie is out of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos. So they're dropping. Exactly. They're kind of dropping like flies at Commonwealth tonight. But how about the Eskimos? They're down. Still a lot of football to be played in this game, but that'd be a huge victory if Winnipeg, if they could walk in there and win.
I got a feeling that if Edmonton doesn't win tonight, you're going to see a quarterbacking change because there's been all kinds of talk about Danny McManus. In fact, Danny McManus himself said that if he doesn't come out and have a great game tonight, he expected not to start the next game.
Les?
Who are they going to start?
I don't understand. They got Cody Ledbetter.
Exactly. That's just it.
You got Cody Ledbetter.
Well, you know what? We're going to bring a name up. We've been bringing him since the beginning of the season. Damon Allen's still sitting out there, and he's still talking.
But no one wants to give up any money to come into the Canadian Football League, so he's just going to sit there. We have to deal with who they have right now, and Danny Mack is the man.
Yes,
what they have to do is give him some time to come on. Like Coach just told you about the receivers with Flutie and his receivers. It takes time to gel. It's going to take time for him to gel. That's a new situation for him as well.
I'm not sure that Danny McManus is the type of quarterback who can start a football game. He excels when he comes off the bench. He helped BC win the Grey Cup that way. Some guys, right, Bob? You've told me that for years, have a better ability.
I told you that for years.
Well, the one or two times that I showed up.
When did you ever listen?
But you did say that there are some guys who...
I think so. And I think you're probably right about that. I think he does a great job coming off the bench, and there have been other quarterbacks over the years. But I think you have to have a situation where your head coach and your quarterback system and all that has to be coached that way from day one so that the two players can do it compatibly. Because if you develop some kind of a controversy and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't help your team. So this situation we're talking about, Danny McManus was expected to come in there and lead this team, and their backup quarterback's an unknown at this stage of the game.
Right.
You know what, gentlemen, you guys were talking earlier, Les and Marty, you were bringing up the point about who's the better of the two teams right now. Would you go with Hamilton or would you go with Toronto? Let's broaden our horizons a little bit and bring in the West here. If you had to pick the best club in the Canadian Football League heading into Week 4, would it not be the Calgary Stampeders?
Yeah, by far.
Calgary.
I can't believe that we're all agreeing on this,
but there's no question.
By far.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Unilaterally, Coach, you would agree with that as well?
I think Calgary's, in every aspect of the game, offense, defense, special teams, they're the most solid team in the league at this time. And Toronto's starting to look awfully good on defense, so if they can keep playing like that, then, they're not far behind. I think Hamilton's defense has to get better to complement the great offense that they have.
Well, we'll see what happens with Hamilton when they clash with Calgary in a battle of the undefeateds. That'll happen this weekend. What we'll do is we'll take another break. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. The Argos all over Ottawa, 34-4.
It's 6 past the hour at the end of another busy Friday.
As the moment approaches, Eatmore promises rich, dark toffee loaded with peanuts. That's not too sweet tasting. When the moment arrives, Eat More promises to take a good, long while. Chew and eat more. Stretch the moment. It's a real, long chew.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
As if you need another reason to go to the Keg Steakhouse.
Introducing the Keg's really cool car contest. Visit the Keg Steakhouse and Bar between June 24th and August 4th and fill out a ballot to win a 1929 Model A hot rod or a Keg gift certificate.
I'm Jim McKay with an update from the 2020 Global Games. Graduated hurdles rose, but Great Britain fell. Nathan Rudder grabbed the ring and the gold for the U.S. Earlier today, Caswell Fowler executed the first perfect 10 multiple board dive.
The world of sports is ever evolving, but athletes of today can choose All Sports Body Quencher for fluid replacement, unsurpassed taste, thirst-quenching flavors.
Coming up later, the record-breaking 300-meter dolphin relay.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Corel, world leader in CD-ROM technology.
And here is the final winner from tonight's QB1 game. It's Chambo, 67,000 points. Congratulations to Chambo with TSN. You're always live and interactive. You can play QB1 along with us on Friday night. We return to the air with the CFL Live, the BC Lions, home to the Montreal Alouettes. It starts at 10:30 Eastern Time. From all of us here at TSN, thanks for watching tonight's football game. We hope you enjoyed the Argos' victory. We'll see you all again on Friday. Good night, everybody.
This is TSN.
Shy. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Right on. All right, let's get going, yeah. Hey, let's get going here. Oh, gee.
The good old boys prepare for their Pocono performance. It's the Miller 500 from Pocono Raceway. NASCAR on track, Sunday on TSN.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Bose. Join me for all your sports news and highlights from Southern Alberta right here on TSN, Coast to Coast.
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilkes. The last time Canada qualified for the Olympics in women's basketball was in 1984. The athletes you are about to meet have stuck together through thick and thin to make their dream of competing in the Olympics a reality. It all came down to the pre-Olympic qualifying tournament when Canada met Cuba in the finals. We'll have the highlights of that game for you, and we'll help you get better acquainted with some of our team. It's been a very long road of sacrifice and determination for these women. For many of them, this is one last shot. Now let's turn back the clock to the exciting pre-Olympic qualifying finals in Hamilton for the final game in the Tournament of the Americas. To tell us just why a gold medal might make the difference is former national team coach Don McRae.
Debbie, I think it's always good to win a gold medal. It's good for your ego, and to win a gold medal in a qualifying tournament is a good feat. There's a tactical significance because there'll be some seeding going on, and the winning team will be seeded higher. Could be very, very significant in Atlanta.
How can you explain to me, who is not a real basketball follower, how we're going to compare these two teams?
Well, I think that there's a real contrast in styles. Cuba is one of the really athletic teams in the world. They and United States and maybe China have the most athletic teams. Canada relies much more on technical skill and team play.
Well, I know we're going to be called homers, but certainly I'm crossing my fingers for Team Canada. You got 40 minutes of outstanding basketball. Team Canada and Team Cuba.
One Last Shot is brought to you by AST Computer and Emasco Limited and its family of Canadian companies.
Hustle, 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 hustle. Move it, move it, move it.
People are always comparing it to men's, and it's a different game. If you draw from the things that women bring to the game, then you'll appreciate them.
This is what I've chosen to do, and when I choose to do something, I like to do it well.
Women's basketball in Canada is ever going to continue or grow. We need to get there.
I know a lot of people are retiring after this year, so one last shot.
A lot of people say you've sacrificed so much to play the game of basketball. You've parked your education, you've parked other jobs, and I haven't parked anything. I'm in the right place right now, and you know, I didn't stop going. My life didn't stop because I went to university. I just think that this is what I've chosen to do, and when I choose to do something, I like to do it well.
We are a good team, and we're going to accomplish some things this year and go after our goals. Just by people coming out and becoming more aware of our team and us as athletes, it will really help us.
A great sense of excitement. You can feel the pressure in the building. The audience is totally involved, going from ear-piercing noise to extreme quiet.
Yes, the pounding you hear is a group of swimmers from McMaster University. They've supported their varsity teams, and now they're out here being supporters for Canada. Good drop-off. Really good drop-off there by Carla Karsh to Andrea Blackwell, who as a post player was playing down on the baseline. Canada's changing their levels of defense, and a great rotation by Bev Smith there to prevent that underneath basket.
Bev is the captain. Don, you've worked a lot with her over the course of your basketball career.
Oh, yeah, she's obviously my favorite. She came on as a 17-year-old in 1978, and that's a long time ago.
For me, it was the world. I mean, it was a dream come true. For other people in Canada, I'm not sure if they knew about women's basketball in Canada. We had an eye-opening, I think, when the women's team went to the 1976 Olympics, which I think was the first big exposure for women's basketball in Canada. And I, as a youngster, recognized the fact that there was something to aspire to.
Well, Canada's got them a little bit discombobulated defensively. They've changed their defense, picked them up at half court, dropped back into a man, and then now I think they're in a matchup zone right now. The matchup zone really confuses Cuba. Great job by Cynthia Johnson against the two way bigger girls. She made 2 checks and got the rebound.
Now I got to stop you on the girls' part. We're going to keep track tonight of girls versus women, okay?
That's right. I'm so old, you see. They're all girls. No, these are professional women. There's no question about it. And sometimes we can make a mistake. These women have made a career of this game, and they are professional athletes.
It's always been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. The other day, I was talking to my father and I asked him if he was still jogging, and because I suddenly remembered when I was 10 years old, I used to go running with him at 7 in the morning. And my motivation was, I want to go to the Olympics.
But these are my favorite pair of socks. They really are. I have to feel the floor beneath my feet. Oh my God. You look at it and you think of how trivial a game it is. I mean, after all, we're trying to put a ball in a basket and stop other people from putting that ball in the basket. But paradoxically, when I look around and see the world around me, it makes more sense to me at times than the world itself, because of all the tragedy and all the complexities of our life. So basketball has become one of the most important things in my life, but it hasn't become the only thing.
Cuba's coming back.
Cuba has put on a full court press and used their athletic ability, and Canada's got a little bit unraveled, and I think we've got ourselves a timeout going, and it's desperately needed. It's like a professional NBA game. Change your personnel a little bit, and there's a big run, and we have a new game after you and I thinking that maybe Cuba had rolled over.
It's that one last shot at the Olympic dream when we return on TSN.
Get in the spirit. Support the first Canadian Olympic song, The Best You Can Be. The CD features Liberty Silver, Ashley McIsaac, Rita McNeil, and many more, so call 1-800-365-6653. Also available at Sam the Record Man and through your Amway distributor.
Check out the rippin', twistin', crispin' stylin' of McCain Super Spirals. Whoa! Seriously twisted fries. McCain starts with its famous super fries, adds a twist, and rolls them in a light-tasting batter. And then a dash of spice for crunch after crunch of super seasoned satisfaction. McCain is twisting, spinning, and jumping your way. McCain Super Crisps and Super Spirals. Seriously twisted fries.
Boy, oh boy, have we got a reversal of form here now. We really have Canada just letting these people shove the ball right down their throat. You can't have those intercepts from behind like that. We lost that. Hopefully we can get that back. But every athlete has to close the passing lane when people are pressing. You can't wait for the ball to come for you, or the opponents will get intercepts. Go to the ball. Go to the ball. That's right. Oh, my goodness. I think we have to burn another timeout, and Bev Smith is going to have to play the rest of the game. This is too bad.
All of a sudden, Cuba has come back with 20-odd points. The game score at the moment, with 4:39 left in the first half, 31-29. What are the differences in coaching women's basketball as compared to men's?
Well, I think I fell into some traps that I wasn't aware of when I moved from the men's team to the women's team. There were some definite differences. First of all, I think I made a big mistake when I started to work with the women athletes, as I started to train them, because they responded to every request. And basketball can't stand a trained athlete.
And I think one of amateur sports' problems has always been that they have not considered their sport big business. And now in this day and age, when there is so much competition for sponsorship dollars and for the public's attention, they have to treat it in a very serious manner.
Because we're not followed in college, because we're not, there's not a lot of, there's no sort of junior hockey to follow players and to get to know them when they're young and to watch them grow through their process onto a national team. It's hard to identify with a woman basketball player. Who is she? What does she represent? What does she do? Does she do this for a living?
They say to you, you're 26 years old and you're still playing basketball? What are you doing? Get on with your life. When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? I don't think there's too many men around that receive those same types of comments.
couple of other things that were different between the men and the women. Had to convince the women that meanness was necessary in competition. Whereas the men, you had to bring them back and say, let's be good sportsmen, because they looked to really take their opponent out, whereas the women seemed to be a little reluctant to do that.
A whole cultural thing, perhaps.
Yes.
I mean, one of those big questions that nobody's figured out.
Yes.
It is halftime. The teams at the moment, Cuba in the lead, 45-32 over Team Canada.
For many of these women, all they have is this one last shot when we return on TSN.
At AST, we know families pack a lot of living into an average day. AST computers are designed to send an email to the office, help your small business get bigger, get ahead of the class, just have fun, stay in touch, surf the net. AST's Advantage multimedia PCs with Intel Pentium technology. AST computer, for your family, for your life.
It's an amazing country, eh, Jack?
Major, I found them!
Uh-oh.
After them! There they are!
Well, I guess we can't discuss this over a beer or something. I don't think so. I'm that angry, Major. Get there. It looks like Amanda's father. Amanda? Oh, after you. Oh, no. After you. No. I'd say...
Labatt True Canadian Lager.
So which joke should I lead with?
A funny one?
Thanks.
So did you hear the one about the guy who didn't use new Head & Shoulders?
I used it.
And it looks like you stopped.
Oh, that's not funny.
New Head & Shoulders works better than ever in setting up zones of protection against dandruff. Ordinary shampoo washes that protection away, so flakes come back, but not with New Head & Shoulders.
Hair looks great.
Should I become a male model?
That's funny.
New Head & Shoulders. Dandruff care for great-looking hair.
We're back with the Canadian women's basketball team's one last shot to make the Olympic Games.
Okay, have you stacked it all on this one? All right, stack, okay? Back here, stack, all right? You've got to pull back. You've got to play erect. You've got to play physical. You've got to get the ball in as quick as you can to the red jerseys, and then you've got to battle them off, all right? And your partners have got to make sure they're cutting hard and not away from you. And let's get the ball up the floor in some kind of an organized attack fashion, and then take it back at them, okay? We got some work to do. We got some work to do. We got nothing to lose. Come on. Now, listen, they expended a big-time energy getting back in here. Let's get some, take it back, pull it back even, and see how much energy they got left. 1, 2, 3.
Cuba, watching the dynamics in the locker room was incredible. Those women were horribly silent. I almost felt that they were almost being chastised.
Fantastic. Fantastic post play by Cuba. there's a mini comeback going on here. These next few trips are important trips to maintain a good offensive set and shut them down defensively. Wow. They're on fire. Energy, energy, energy. Oh, no. Got a good trap in the corner. Got a good trap. Yes, sir. Just with flat-out effort. Now there's a little indecision on Cuba's part. It's almost like a volleyball game, with motion swinging back and forth. Another charge. Cuba must take a timeout and stop the game. Gotta stop the game.
Emotions running very high.
The zone has got, oh yes. Nice two-way passing play.
3 points to go.
Give Cuba a little bit back what they've been doing, a little high-low game. We got to change. We're going to make a substitution here. I don't know if I would. This group is on a roll and they're pumped. Another charge. A sneaky good post player. She'd rather play facing up, and most times her check won't come out with her. She's outstanding at the 8 to 12 footer, and as a post player, a lot of the checks won't come to her. Too bad.
To 69 over Cuba, and it's their ball. And 45 seconds remaining. Canada in the lead, 73 to 69 over Cuba.
She's coming out. This is good to get some of the other girls in. My bias is there, but some of these girls have to feel this pressure right now.
Smith is back in.
That's right. Wonderful hoop. Got the turning corner turn. Cynthia Johnson tried to help out, and she was just a step late. banging going, and there's another foul. Oh, that wasn't a very good turnover there. We need the referees to call everything because everything's going to happen. It was over the top. Sue Stewart has been a key player. She hit 1 of 2 to give us a 3-point lead.